Hey, Happy New Year, everyone. Eric Mashinsky here, Gold Investment Letter. This video I wanted to put out there. It's public. I will send it out to the free e-letter and everybody else. This is really just, you deserve a Bitcoin update because I know a lot of you, I put the title up there. If you don't like Bitcoin or you don't want to hear about it, just, wait until we get to the next update on gold and miners and everything else. But like I said, and I've been saying it for years, if you have, if you have an analyst, a money manager, a newsletter writer, anybody who thinks they know anything about the gold market and they're going to assess it correctly, and they do not address at least Bitcoin, because I'm not talking about all the different altcoins and cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin itself, if they haven't brought that into the fold, then they are behind the curve, and I would fire them immediately. And we saw the proof of this theory, if you will, years back, especially back in 2021 in the summer. I remember 2 distinct months, I think it was August and September, when we had selling off physically of, the gold price, and the Bitcoin price was seeing that money flow directly into it, okay? And when you've got a market as large as gold, and one as small as Bitcoin was at the time compared to it, and it was affecting the price of gold and sucking money from the gold space, okay, from gold assets, from smart people, at the time that wanted more bang for their buck and believed in the digital gold story. I'm not going to get into a ton of that today, okay? I'm just mentioning that I saw it physically with my own eyes. Now, imagine if we do get a larger asset class here. Last time going to almost 3 trillion in total. Bitcoin always maintaining at least half of that. But if you're talking about $1 trillion asset or so at that time, maximum, taking a chunk out of the price of, an $11 trillion asset, you got to pay attention to this. It is, unfortunately, people in crypto don't understand gold, and gold people don't understand Bitcoin. It's like they have 2 different functions and they're complementary. I've just so happened to have, a background, just turned 48. I became a stockbroker, dropped out of college at 20 years old. Okay. So I've been in the financial markets for 28 years, and I gravitated towards this whole topic of money. For those of you that want to understand what's going on in this area, I just recommended a book that is like the Bible of this. And I don't even remember how I got it. I mean, I was home from college that year, and when I was 20 years old, it's like 94, 95. And somehow the Creature from Jekyll Island by G. Edward Griffin made it to my mother's house. And I was out tanning during the days and knocked that thing out. And I believe it changed the course of probably my life, if not certainly my career. Even in later stages, things stuck with me from that about understanding the fiat, the central banking system, fiat currencies, and the fractional reserve banking system. And, Satoshi Nakamoto, when he launched Bitcoin, understood these things as well. And that's why it was actually started, okay? And, the thing is that, Bitcoin is not a store of value. It's a future store of value. I'm not in Bitcoin for what gold gives me, which is like, look at the last year, 12 months, okay? Would you rather have your money in Bitcoin down 60% or gold up 1% to the US dollar? Gold's up a lot in a lot of different currencies. It is an inverse mirror to your fiat currency, maintains that buying and purchasing power of goods and services over a long period of time, and sprinkles a few percent on top. Since 1971, when Nixon cut the link with gold and the US dollar and allowed the Federal Reserve to go ahead and just print money out of thin air, as much with no restraints really, except for public freaking backlash and whatever else. Congress, I guess you could say, some balance and pressure on what they could do. You need the debasement of the dollar since that time. Gold is up 50 times in 50 years, 50-fold in 50 years. $35 to 1,800 and change is about a 10%. It's just under that. It's been fluctuating. When gold is way down, it has been way down, like in the 1,700 range in the last couple of years. To now, when you're at the $1,800, $1,900 level, it's basically between 8.5 and 10.2% CAGR, compound annual growth rate, for 50 years. I'll take that. I'll take that as my defense. I'll take that as my cash. I'll take that as the safest place for my money on planet Earth. And I actually, some of it you do physical, some of it you do digital, whatever. There's crypto gold backed currencies, Paxos Gold, for example, that I own. Ideally you have enough money, you have this shit all over the place, okay? But all that money in gold, thank God that I moved a bunch of those crypto profits over into physical gold or physical gold exposure because it's flat. I didn't lose it in stocks. I didn't lose it in bonds. I didn't lose it in venture. I didn't lose it in crypto. Now I can move that money back if I want. To some degree, I am a little bit because I overwent physical gold and I'm willing to take risk, even though a lot of that money is also, I put it back into the miners because those are way, way down too. But anyway, essentially the fact is that Bitcoin is not that yet. It could become the preferred source of store of value, but that's going to be in 10, 20, 30 years when Bitcoin's trading at $2, $3, $5, $8, $10 million of Bitcoin. I've always said it. It's either going to the millions or it's going to zero. And I don't think it's going to zero, folks. Quit listening to all this bullshit. We know how bull markets and bear markets work. Those of you that have wisened up over time, as I like to think that I have, that are not going to just get deceived in the worst times to do the worst thing, along with the rest of the crowd, and not know how these things work and how these cycles work. I do a lot of research on this stuff and on my own mindset, being aware, am I just, is this a lazy thought, or am I supposed to look further and really be honest with myself about, waking up at certain times, anyway, look, bottom line is Bitcoin is still a very early technology that has venture capital upside and venture capital downside. It is early stage venture capital upside and downside. The volatility is incredible, but it also can make you rich. All right. Gold's not going to make you rich. It's going to keep you rich. That's the difference. Okay. But the two, for this weird reason that the crypto people say that the Bitcoin is going to take X amount of market share of gold, they aren't competing. They're complementary. That's why you would have both Bitcoin and gold in your portfolio for times like the last year. It's perfect to know. You know how much more Bitcoin I can buy? Over 2 point some odd times the Bitcoin I can buy right now. And I just did some of this last week, moved physical gold, converted it, put it in to Bitcoin because this was Bitcoin that I sold at $60-some thousand and bought gold at whatever, $1,700. That's pretty nice, that's pretty nice. And I don't do it with all the money, and but I did it with a chunk, and I'm going to slowly continue to do it. If gold goes to 2,000 this month and Bitcoin remains weak and there's pressure on it, I'll just keep chipping it back over there, keeping a core cash gold conservative position, but also those mining stocks, baby. We're going to have a big year. So anyway, I want to give you a Bitcoin update in the sense that, this game is not over with, folks. It's just getting started. If you look at what has happened with the Bitcoin price since 2009, this is the sixth time that Bitcoin had gone to new highs and come back down over 70%. As much as 96% it crashed before. This time it seems like worse because it came from such a high price and down, and you've got all these problems and FTX frauds and things that are hitting the news. But the bottom line is we've seen this story in other assets and other businesses and asset classes. It's called over leverage, greed, and fraud. And that's what's happened in some of the crypto sphere. But what about Bitcoin itself? I don't see anybody who's, been able to penetrate the blockchain. It keeps humming along. It does what it is meant to do. And not only that, I'm going to be having some more videos about, and this is going to be some on the gold investment letter. And what I'm doing today in the office is preparing for what we're doing this month with my staff and building out, what am I going to, what silos will I put this information in? I need to have a crypto letter, which I do, but it's very unofficial on the website, just an email list. The crypto phenom letter, which I may rename. We've got GIL, which this is going to be my baby. I've made a decision, despite my health issues and everything else, and my affinity for crypto, because of how much money there is to be made there. It's very hard to compete with. However, I believe that we have seen the corner turn in precious metals, commodities, minerals, metals in general, and particularly mining equities. And we're looking at what will be a historic next, 1 to 5 years, or 1 to 7 years, 1 to 10 years. But at least, we've bottomed, I believe, and we've already started a very, very subtle new bull cycle that's going to accelerate in 2023. And I have to be active early in those cycles to make the most money. That's where the leverage is. If you wake up halfway through, because all the people around you and everything you see on TV, gold's popping, gold's exploding, silver takes off, this company's bought out, this gold miner just went up 1,000% in a week. That's coming, but they're just laying there for us, laying in the garbage in the alley, bombed out, trading at these discounts I can't believe compared to the assets they have. And the juniors are going to compete with some of the returns in the altcoins that we saw last time and the next bull cycle in Bitcoin. The thing we've got to keep in mind is that there's a big cyclicality and cyclicality predictor for crypto and the Bitcoin price, which leads the market, Bitcoin and ETH. And every 4 years, the new supply gets cut in half. It's deflationary. Gold's still inflationary, but not much. I mean, that's what the crypto people don't get. If gold goes up, they're just going to create more supply. Yeah, you know how long it takes to find an economic gold mine, build it, and start spitting out gold? A decade. So just, the fact is that we've had underinvestment across a lot of these metals, and we have a perfect storm, not only a monetary storm globally with fiat currency debasement that we're seeing all over and even feeling here now in the United States via inflation that we've not dealt with in really my generation. And we have a materials and metals and hard assets and crisis that's brewing from this political frickin' charade that we're going to go into about clean energy and battery metals. I tweeted the other day or yesterday about how the whole thing. It's like it's going to the ESG deal and everything about the decarbonization and all that stuff. Keep going, folks. Let's move all these to electric vehicles and the industrial revolution from carbon emitting energies and things of that nature. Go for it. Keep moving forward, because I own a lot of interests in mineral deposits around the globe and in the US, with a lot of nickel and gold and vanadium and lithium and silver and copper and cobalt and graphite and all the rare metals and everything that you are going to need to go and call me and call the companies that we own interest in and beg us to buy them or to partner so that you can lock in any supply to sell your products that are in high demand and have mandates with governments all over the world for conversion. And that perfect storm, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm not going to get into this too much. I'm sorry, but this stuff is so, obvious now. And it's like all these PowerPoints that I looked at back in 17 and 18, when, in the Canadian markets, we saw lithium stocks catch fire and cobalt and vanadium. And that's when I found in vanadium, which I'm going to be doing some specials on, because I believe that it is going to disrupt lithium. It's the best most effective and amazing and primary battery energy metal driver in the world. And nobody knows about it. Nobody really understands it very much. And it is going to be a very interesting area to be invested in. But, the thing is that all of the PowerPoints and projections and analysis that I looked at back then seemed to have this clear crossroad of, supply and demand. We were just predicting the EV revolution, the adoption of EVs, and then here's the point, the inflection point, the apex, when nickel and lithium and these different components, copper and all of them, cobalt, graphite. They all have different mixtures. Different automobile manufacturers and things, they have different mixtures within their lithium-ion batteries. But I just remember it stuck with me, and I thought, all of these, everybody's saying, the inflection point comes if we do see the adoption happen, close to what everybody's talking about. And it has happened. It's actually been probably a little bit better than those projections, since for the last 5 years. It's been crazy because it's actually, I think, completely met, if not exceeded, a lot of those projections. And that being the case, it was always 2024, 2025. There's not enough of these things to meet the demand, and it gets worse from there. Okay, so you need new mines, you need all that stuff. There's a lot of opportunity in our sector, just so you know, and I'm not going to neglect that. I've made a decision that I'm going to maximize at least one more cycle as your investment newsletter writer to share. And Jack Myers, you are right. The average person doesn't have a clue. They don't even know where money comes from. They don't know what the hell is going on. Okay, so we might as well get rich. And if your purpose for that is just buying yourself boats and things and it's all selfish, then I don't like that part of helping. But for those of you that have a good heart and a good mind and can help others and share and give, you got to make it. Making more is going to make it more impactful to do good versus evil. So that is why I want to be very active, because I have the energy now. I'm not back to 100%. I don't know if I'll ever be who I was from my health issues, but I'm going to be active. And I'm working on it, guys, in terms of like communication and getting back to some sort of a discipline. It's been, because I could just not do anything and just manage my own money and not talk to anybody, and I'm good. But I love, this engagement, and I love the fact that, who knows what I'm going to hear about in the future, about people. I had a lot of emails that I haven't even probably read yet. I have this lull of things I never got to, and that were starred from, my assistant, and things that were people saying, hey, I ended up buying Bitcoin at 4,500 for my kids when you were saying that on the free e-letter years ago. And I was getting those at 40, 50, 60,000, and I'll get them again, when the thing is 250,000. And I told them, if you have a child that's like, very young, or even up to like 14 or whatever, I'm talking about buy a Bitcoin and you can pay for your entire child's education. And I'm talking about a doctorate at Harvard. I'm not talking about a technical college. And I still believe that to this day. And I think that some people took me up on that, because they said, look, the downside is it just goes to zero and you miss $5,000 or whatever. And some people did that. And so when stories like that come back and, people are buying a new home or something, doing something for somebody else. And also, I just, this type of thing, if I'm very engaged here, it keeps me sharp. And I need that too, otherwise, I can make a lot of mistakes on my own, and I can do a lot of good stuff on my own too. And I think that where I am in life and everything else, I have a very interesting perspective on how to exploit the fucked up world that we live in, okay? There's ways to look at this. You're a victim, or you just ride on top of all these waves because you can see what is coming. And, that's what I had to do, and take massive risks to get out of poverty. Like that's what it was. I grew up in that. When you have no money, okay, when you have no money, and Jack, you shouldn't miss the next crypto bull either, okay? Do them both, baby. The world is a place, especially with all of those of you that actually were attracted to gold and Bitcoin too, but just let's talk about gold for a second, which Bitcoin was really modeled after. It's just that, you started to realize that there's something that's eating away at our ability to get ahead, always on the hamster wheel. And it's the central banking fiat currency fractional reserve banking system. And that's why those of us that are in gold have gravitated towards it, just having an understanding about that. And, man, oh man, is it a ripe environment for those of us that have stuck with it and that get it, and that actually can learn from some of our past mistakes and the lessons of the past. I mean, that's why I feel like I can be pretty bold at times when things don't look good at all and they're scary. And I can be cautious when they're looking unbelievable and you're starting to get starry-eyed and hit the brakes, because I've made mistakes on both errors on both ends of those markets. And I had to take massive risks just to get ahead at all, as both as an entrepreneur and as an investor. And then after you start to get some money, then the trick is to keep it and to grow it. And I feel like, I just am in a good spot to share some information that hopefully helps some of you guys. And at worst, if you are a professional and you're better than me and you're smarter than me and you're richer than me, you're going to hopefully look at some of the stuff that I bring to the table as just good information for you to look into. I'm going to bring value no matter what. There are going to be new things that come up on ideas that I've done research on, that I find that there's a nugget in the ground. There is something that you just fell through the cracks or you just weren't aware of. You can't all be aware of all the different opportunities out there. And I find some interesting stuff. And I've had life-changing winners in my investments and in the markets. And the losers, I'm sure many of them, you keep track of those. That's okay. As long as you don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, because a lot of us have had some big gains in these areas too. And one thing I've learned, folks, one key thing is are we in a bull market or are we in a bear market? And it's if you're expecting while you're in a bear cycle, like we've been in gold and the miners and the precious metals and the commodities and metal stocks for the last 2 years in a bad one, and you're expecting that there should have been a miracle in one of our any one of the stocks that you might have bought that you heard about here during those 2 years, you got to embrace what's going on and realize this is a bear market, and a lot of things are not going to really start to move and rip and go in our favor until it's a bull cycle, and then everything for the most part generally moves in our favor, and I believe we've entered that. So, but the update on Bitcoin for those of you that have been interested in this. Is this. Is it going to go lower than we've seen around here, 16,000? I don't know where it touched as an absolute low. Was it 14 and change, 15 on a wick? Are we going to go to 10 or 7 or whatever? I don't know. I don't think so. I think that, if we had one really strong capitulation with a surprise about, some additional group going out of business that is going to put pressure on the market, force liquidations, things of that nature that are unexpected. If we see one, it's not going to be Binance, guys, just so you know. Not happening. But if it's somebody else that, and the market can absorb, some of these smaller players that end up, the tide goes out and they're naked. We might see a couple more of those. In fact, I'm sure we will. But it doesn't mean Bitcoin is going to be force-sold pressure down, to 10,000 or below. And say it is going to be, and you didn't get involved last time, or you really don't have very much money, or you're sitting on some losses because you got in, whenever last time, didn't take any profits or got in late. Oh, well, I'm still holding my $20 in Bitcoin. Look, this is an opportunity. I mean, what I was talking about before is it's the sixth, it might be the seventh time that Bitcoin has gone down by over 70%. It's a boom bust cyclical technology and marketplace that has become, it's not to say that it's super predictable exactly, because otherwise, I would sell them all at the top and buy them all at the bottom. But that's where I think that, I've learned you're never going to do that. I don't give a shit who you are. And if you're making any decisions based on, I missed the top, so I'm not going to sell, I missed the bottom, so I'm not going to buy. Well, it's low, and it's because of that, I'm going to buy when it's lower. It's high, I'm going to buy when it's higher. If you don't realize that, you just got to get in the area. And plus, sometimes we need time to accumulate a decent position. I don't say, should I buy it? Should I sell it? It's more of, should I accumulate? Should I start adding, or should I start taking profits, here? I do it in pieces. I never do this stuff unless it's a small sort of trade. If it's a core position, I've been accumulating. I was early in buying like my nickel plays. I'm extremely bullish on nickel stocks, very much. I think they could go up, just as much as any, key battery metal or other commodity or even precious metal, stocks. It's not a big market. Nickel is involved in every iteration of new lithium ion batteries. The supplies are already above the ground, diminishing to nothing. There's not a lot or hardly any new big nickel mines that are in queue to go into production. It's so ripe. And then you've got the nickel exploration and development companies that are trading at they're trading like nickels at $4. It's a no-brainer. But I mean, I started buying these in size, moving money over from crypto in March and April of 2021 when those were hitting highs, and then again in the fall when I took more profits there, and all along the way. So some of these things have been, it's been a year and a half, and I'm down 30% on paper, but I've continued to chip away, and it's just getting closer and closer and closer. And I'm very convinced about it. And I just have to make sure that I can pay my bills and eat and feed my dogs and hang on to what I have and add more, hopefully along the way. If it takes a little longer, and I'm going to make a fortune, and I think that anyway, the same is the case with Bitcoin again now. And, Bitcoin in its next bull cycle, minimally, I believe, will hit 120 to 150,000. So you're talking about 10x upside from here. So say it goes down by 40 more percent. Does it really freaking matter? It gives you an opportunity. That's why I always say a lot of this is about the way we buy things, the strategy, the format, the framework, the principle. And this is a very, very, very high vol asset. Meaning, if you want big, massive returns, if I want to get this 10 to 100x my money, I just have to realize that there's a correlated amount of risk and volatility that's built into that opportunity. And so to get upset if all of a sudden it goes down by, and in some of these cases with the other coins, you're talking about 80, 90% down. Guess what was 80, 90% down in 2019 when I was buying things every single week in modest amounts across the spectrum of some of the altcoins that I ended up making between 100 and 650 times my money. Crypto, okay? I was a lone voice in the wilderness, and I was a lone guy buying, little bits of Theta token and Quant and Phantom, and what else do we have? My big one was Bakery token, Bake, buying it at a penny 0.3, and it went to $8 in 5 months. You don't have to have a lot of money in those things, but you do have to have the discipline and a little bit of the fortitude, to to take action where like there was nobody around telling me to do that. I found it. I did my work. I like it. There were things that were telling me it was legitimate and it was trading at a $3 million market cap. It was in DeFi. And I knew that DeFi was coming next as a high point and NFTs were coming. So I put, a little bit of money to work and it turned, and I'm talking about a little bit of money, $8,000, $9,000 that turned into millions of dollars. Okay. So look, I've had that before and I've had it happen in dozens and dozens of cases across crypto and across junior mining companies and across tech VC and tech penny stocks and all kinds of different things. But it's not easy to get those type of returns. And it really comes down to, when are you taking action? If you're really conservative right now, guys, but you have a lot of money or you have a lot of savings, you're making a mistake. And I'm not telling you to, go into crypto over gold or miners or whatever. You should be, thinking about or learning about, taking the time. The only guarantee I ever gave about crypto and Bitcoin was that I guarantee any time you spend learning about it and learning about what this actually is, you will not regret. You will get a return on that investment in learning about what is going on, because I haven't even scratched the surface and I've put in 10, 15,000 hours of homework in this space. It's going to change the world. Anybody here who thinks that it's just about like Bitcoin or Ethereum and then like a bunch of shit coins or scams or something, so is the internet. This is going to be bigger than the internet because it deals with all of the transfer of value and how we transfer value and money between one another and cut out more middlemen and have the fairness and freedom to basically keep our own money and do what we want with it and move it around the world in seconds for pennies like it should be. And it's going to unlock the amount of value that this will unlock to help make things more honest and more fair for the world. This is it. This is it. Blockchain, crypto, Web3, if you will. Bitcoin is the leader of all this. It was the genesis, and it's the first thing anybody's going to buy. The sovereign wealth funds, all this talk about regulation and everything. I'm going to get into that in a separate update, but I just wanted to let you guys know those of you that have been involved in Bitcoin or you got in, you got out, or whatever, based on me talking about this since 2016. Those of you that have been around, I first recommended it. It was just under $500 a Bitcoin in 2000. It was May or June of 2016. And so I've been around it for a while, but I also didn't risk a lot of money then. I didn't understand it enough. But, that opportunity was presented to you guys, and then I became very loud about this for a long time, from 18, 19, well, really 18, 19, 20. And it was really primarily about the fact that we had, with our gold, the first quote unquote competitor to gold in millennia that's come on the scene. And I don't know about you, but like, you look at the banks and you look at all this stuff, and now the politicians, because even the very, very central banking foundation, the scam in which they steal via hidden tax, our money is threatened by it. And they're trying to stop it. They're not going to be able to stop it, but they are fucking with it and pausing it, and they're doing all kinds of stuff to try to slow it down. But at the same time, you got JP Morgan Chase starting blockchain interbank transactions last month or November, where they can settle transactions between banks in seconds for pennies. Now, you look at that versus the SWIFT system. You think that system's sticking around? You think these banks are not going to be, they're buying time to own the space and still keep relevancy, but also have a piece of the pie. And they're shrewd as hell. And so are the governments, and you need to be too, or you're going to get left out in the cold. Personally, I guess I've become a little bit ruthless because I've been shown the light in terms of how the big boys play. And I'm really grateful for that. And I'm trying to share those things with you guys. I'm very excited about, our metals, the commodities. Yes, the mining stocks, huge opportunity. It's going to be my primary focus here. Okay. Don't worry about me talking about crypto a bunch, but I felt like I owed you guys at least a check-in on this. Maybe for those of you that haven't heard from me a lot this last, 18 months or whatever, as well as the fact that it's come down so much. And, what is, Eric, do you even like this crap anymore? Or maybe you think I'm a scammer. I didn't pump Bitcoin from, when I was recommending it, yelling about this back in, was it 18? No, in 20, when the world was melting down from COVID. I was screaming to buy it as low as like under 4,000. I'm not the guy who pumped it up 15 times from there. Trust me, it wasn't me. I was just trying to get some of you involved and, screaming about it at 8,000, 9,000, 10,000, 12,000. It's going to be last time you see it here. And I still think that's true. I think I said it's last time you're going to see it here around 11, 12,000. Will I be wrong? Maybe, but not yet. And so there are some signs that I've seen, and I do a lot of deep work on this stuff. I mean, I've stayed on top of these things regardless of my level of communication. It's the love and passion of my life is investing and speculating and trading, and it's the only way that I got ahead in life. Everything I have has come out of the market, capital markets. That's just the fact. So God bless them, and those of you that are looking to do the same. There's huge opportunities ahead of us. But if you're not taking some action, like let's just look at Bitcoin right now, just like this is relevant absolutely for the miners, the mining stocks, the commodity. If you're not taking any action right now, and a lot of people are very fatigued or have given up on even gold and the miners because it's been a shitty time. Most of the time, it's been a shitty time. And if you're not doing anything now and you're waiting for things to get cheaper, you're just going to get left in the cold. And if you're not buying it now, Bitcoin, you're not going to be buying it at 11,000 because you're going to think it's going to be going to 8. And if you're not buying it at 8, you're not buying it at 3. But it's never even going there anyway. I don't think it's going to that type of level. And if it ever did do that, it would be like a wick that if you weren't on top of it and ready and have like stink bids and limits in, you wouldn't get filled anyway. It doesn't matter. If Bitcoin is a binary outcome, again, remember that. Bitcoin is going to be a binary outcome. It's very cyclical. It's very volatile. It's an early stage situation. We're very early. But everyone in the world is going to have crypto wallets. Just like everyone in the world, not quite, but everybody in the world now has a phone and the internet, and it's just the way it's going to go, guys. It's just the way it's going to go, and we need to fight for it. Actually, if you're against all that stuff, if you're against Bitcoin as a gold investor, I don't get that, because this is revitalizing the conversation that gold became crusty with the younger generations. It's back on the table, baby. Privacy, liberty, freedom, capital, our money. I can send, you can send. We don't need any banks. We don't need any governments to transact between each other, to send money. We just need Wi-Fi. It's here to stay. And it's going to change. There are things that I have seen in the DeFi space, decentralized finance. You look at this NFT thing, all these different pieces of crypto applications and technologies and things that are being built right now during these bear markets are going to surface over the years. And they're going to be bigger than Amazon and Google and Facebook and Microsoft, and all that stuff is coming out of that sector. And, the king in the middle, there's going to be king and queen, Bitcoin and Ethereum. So you don't need to get fancy with any of that stuff. But for those of you that have actually listened to me about this stuff and kind of have some trust in what I'm saying, I would encourage you to, pay attention to it again right now. And, if you don't have a lot in it, just start buying some. And, and even, buy a chunk if you can afford to. And if it goes lower, just make sure you want to own a little bit more. And so that it comes down, your mentality is good. I can buy some more. I like auto purchases every week, on modest amounts. And then if there's a crackdown or a pullback that's hard and there's another fraud that comes out or something, then I send more money to my crypto account and I buy more. I did this last time, guys, and I made a lot of money right in front of you. I was an average-ish earner and, person with a certain amount of net worth that many of you have more than or had more than then, but maybe not now or maybe you certainly won't after the next bull cycle in metals and mining and crypto together. I think I'm in a pretty good position, but I'm talking about blasting through ceilings. Okay, that's what I'm here to try to do for you guys because I'm doing it myself, or I'll fail. Okay, that's just the way it is. So hopefully some of you can appreciate that because I'm just not here to eke out a good return and have a couple. I'm not a safe guy. I'm just not. I'm here to take risk on it. I love it. I swim in it. I eat it every day, and I've paid painful prices for suffering risk manifestations instead of the reward, right? So a lot of you have too. Anyway, that's it for today. Happy New Year. I do believe that across the spectrum, let's take Bitcoin, but also with gold and our miners and silver and all those different, metals and mining sector and the commodity prices and things. I think we're going to have a very big year. We could have something that could be similar to 2016 where shit just gets popping in the first quarter, maybe even into the first half and then slows, or it's going to be a steady move on the way up. But I think that we're looking at a very good year. It could be a huge year in our space. And crypto, I'm not here to predict exactly what's going to happen, the timing. I do like Litecoin. Litecoin is having their halving this summer. It's very predictable in terms of what goes on there. If you want an altcoin recommendation, I've mentioned it before, but whatever. It's like the silver to Bitcoin is digital gold. It's like an OG, old school crypto that I've been buying a lot of lately. Based on these halving cycles, you just have to act a little bit ahead of the rest of these plebs and sheep, and you can make and not get so greedy on the other side. And you can make a lot of money. So, and then, think about that Bitcoin halving coming up. It has its bull runs into the halvings, and that's, I believe, a year and a half away. But that means that every single time before, if you were adding now, whether Bitcoin goes up or down next 30, 40%, and continue to add into like a year prior, at least, 9 months prior to the halving, you made enormous returns, and it's not going to be any different this next time, guys. That's what I'm saying. And Bitcoin and gold are complementary, and there are times to own more gold. There's times to own more Bitcoin. Right now would actually be time, to own both, obviously. But if you're looking for real risk and reward returns, bigger returns, it's going to come in Bitcoin versus gold. I think, but if you were looking at it a year ago, you wanted to own a lot of gold and not as much Bitcoin because you just got your head, your arm chopped off. So anyway, whatever. God bless you guys. I'm excited. I'm going to be active into the next cycle. And in the next cycle, the bull cycle here for gold. And we're going to do well on some of these miners. I feel like, even though I had some brain memory sort of damage and stuff go on with some of my health issues, I feel like maybe it added an element of perception or something that is a bonus. And I'm seeing very clearly, see the ball clearly. And I'm going to try not to waste anybody's time, including my own, with relaying ideas that are not sniper-esque, okay? And I'm going to have some wrong picks and everything else, but I'm going to give you a lot more ideas, a lot more content, and we're going to play this next one together. And I really appreciate any of you that give me time, and have been like loyal, that have any sort of trust in me, or believe in any of the things that I've been saying or offering over the years. I really appreciate it a lot. It's genuine, and I can't wait, to meet some of you, talk to some of you. For those of you that are, premium members and elite members, I'm kicking around a plan right now, and even free members that have been around for a long period of time, and maybe that, we've had interaction or whatnot. I'm going to fill my calendar in February a certain amount per day to have phone calls with everybody. Not everybody. I've got 45,000 people on this list talking about certain criteria, but I want to touch base with everyone, and we'll see where everything's at, and try to give some personal, insight and or ideas on those calls based on what we talk about, to try to help you make up some ground, because I have been a bit, out of the mix, and I just want to make it up to those of you that have, been supportive. And certainly if you've been premium and or elite and actually sent money in, I'm going to do everything I can, and I'm going to ensure it that that was not in vain, and you don't feel like you wasted any money in the last year and while I was sick. Trust me, that's my priority, especially starting at the elite level and going from there. You're going to see a couple of new newsletters launched with silos. Basically, I'm not going to talk about certain cryptos here. I'll give any of you that are still here right now after 46 minutes, I'm going to give you 2 swing trades. If you want to watch something, if I'm right, really rip soon, even in a bear market, Media Network is at $12.50. You can buy it on Coinbase. I've been buying this for the last, I don't know what it's been, week or two. Including, over the weekend and even this morning at a little higher prices. My cost average is about probably 12 and change, right around here. I think it's going to double or triple out of nowhere soon. It's got a tiny float. If you want, you're not going to get updates from me unless you're on like the crypto letter subscription, that's what we're going to do. The silo will have those of you that want more crypto information. We'll announce that a couple times, and it'll say you can sign up there. And then I won't have to mention these things here, except for Bitcoin. I will always talk about Bitcoin at the gold investment letter because it is known as digital gold, and it's a competing quote unquote store of value. If you don't talk about Bitcoin or think about it as a gold investor, you're stupid. You're being a fool. You're not being wise. Okay. So that is going to continue, but the rest of it, that's for other people at other times. But anyway, Media and Muse, MUSE, I think is going to be good for 50. It's at 640 right now, 50, 60% trade, swing trade. Keep 10% downside risk and stop out if you want to mess around with these. You can't buy a ton without driving them up. I'd buy the Muse up to 650 easy. Actually, it's at 616. I'd buy that up to 650, sell it around 9 or 10. And then you've got Media, which is at 1260. And this bad boy, if you have a Coinbase account or, I don't know where else it trades, Coinbase Pro, you can buy that up to like, 1350. Keep a 10% stop loss limit. And I think minimum is going to $26. And it will, it was $140 a year ago. It was 40 some and change 6 weeks ago. It's a low float, ready to pop big one that's going to move, and it's going to be exciting. And I've had a lot of these in this bear market. So it doesn't mean just because we are in a bear that some of these cryptos where the action really always is the most. Anyways, those are just a couple nuggets for those of you still here. If you care, if you want to take a flyer or whatever. And then Litecoin. I really like Litecoin for those of you that are active in crypto, up to like, 75, 77 bucks. I see it double or triple into the happening. Next, which is coming in August. Litecoin, baby. Looking good. All right. Have a good day. Cheers.